remember about him from, being on the other side and seeing the kind of goaltender he was in this league?
Well, just one of the top goaltenders in the league, playing for Canada, just things like that you always remember him from. Obviously, that great series against Boston. He's guys that's played in a season over 60 games. He's one of the old guys back in the day, and Brodeur himself. Wow, those guys we used to play maybe even 70 games, so not even including the playoffs. Very durable guy.
When you were, I think you were an assistant in Pitt when you went to Florida. So when you guys would play him, could you still see, even at that time, that the durability, like you talked about, that he still had a lot of game? And
well, he's just a big guy in the net, and he was really quiet in the net. I always felt he was a spot, pucks hit him, he swallowed those pucks a lot. Not a lot of rebounds, I thought, when we played against him. Just a big guy that just swallowed a lot of pucks.
You mentioned those names, Roberto Luongo.
Yeah.
Flowers about to become
Yeah.
the fourth to 1,000. When you look at the way things are going with goaltending around the league in terms of starts and shares, might that be it ever to hit 1,000? That could end up becoming one of the hardest milestones to reach for a goal.
Yeah, I think with this, I'm amazed that those guys played that much. Now, we're very conscious nowadays, the goalies, the load management, the workload. And it's just, I just remember even playing against Brodeur, it's like he never got a net. I don't even know, I couldn't even name his backup, to be honest with you. Actually, he's a buddy of mine, Craig Billington. He'll get mad. He'll get mad at me, but very rarely you know those guys' backups, to be honest with you. Now in today's league, a lot of the backups, and they're good goalies. So yeah, it's a little different than it was.
I know you'll be focused on the game tomorrow, but is there anything your players can take away from seeing a guy like him honored before the game and what he meant to this franchise?
Yeah, I think anytime you have those ceremonies, I'm big with that. You get to celebrate a guy that's, who's obviously one of the top players in the league, and his durability and what he's done for himself and his teammate in the league. So it's always nice that guys don't take things for granted, and celebrate a guy's great career.
with what you accomplished last night, is it hard to think that if Suter's ready, he may go in? P.S.
Yeah, I mean, he's like he could play tomorrow. We haven't decided yet, but or do we wait one more game? I still think he really hasn't a ton of practice with the team, a lot of pushing and shoving, so a little conscious of that. Now that they're going to make this hard decision, like we got to get him in. Now I got to make a decision who comes out, because a lot of guys are doing a nice job. So that's a good problem to have.
Tough thing about your vocation, Rick, is that people get hired and people get let
Yeah.
go. Have you had a chance to talk to Berube?
Yeah, I talked to him this morning, last night. Yeah, it's the guy just won a Stanley Cup 4 or 5 years ago. So that's the world we live in. Pack light. But he's in a good frame of mind. I mean, he gave his all. He's a hell of a coach. I don't think he's going to be able to. Well, I think he can be picky and choosy coming up. So, he'll be fine. I'd like to see him get reset a little bit.
Rick, it was such a big deal here, obviously, in Vancouver in 2010 to win the gold medal in this building.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Yeah.
where you were when you watched that?
I was at home actually just watching the game, like all the Canadians, edge of your seat type of thing. I love that type. I love international hockey. I love Olympic hockey, seeing the best players play. So it was, it's like everybody. It was, I cheered when Sid scored, so it's great.
When Nashville came in, John Hines referenced post-game, he was happy with how he played in front of his net because you guys were the best rebound team by his numbers in the NHL. Does that sort of match what you're seeing from your team?
I'm sorry, say that
He said
again.
you were the best rebound team in the NHL. I don't know.
Hinesy?
Yeah,
Oh.
and I don't know where he was citing it, but does that match how you feel about the way your team's worked in front of the other net?
Yeah, I mean, we've really paid attention to that a lot over the summer on ways of improving ourselves in that category. Try to practice it, but it's said a lot here, and then obviously the players are applying it. So yeah, it's nice of them to say that.
Is it as simple as just going there, or are there things you can teach and that they can learn in terms of what you do when you get there?
Well, I'm a big body position guy, so we reference it's almost like basketball. Dennis Rodman, he wasn't the biggest guy, but he's the best rebounder because he knows to get position before the actual ball gets, on the rebound. It's the same thing in hockey. Get position first, then the puck. We preach that all the time. I think when you go for the puck a lot, sometimes you lose position. So And we had, you know, even our smaller guys, you'll see they'll try to get position first, so they're in a position like Hoggy. For his, I think his body position the last 2-3 weeks has been tremendous. He's coming up with some battles, and even Garland, where they'll get position and then the puck, and that goes a long way for those guys, even for small guys.
Are you doing a lot of that teaching? Was that something that comes from you and your experience?
Well, I just from the one I played, like I knew I wasn't the greatest skater, so I had to think of other ways to be good at, and getting position for me was huge. Even on a rim, you know, a wall work, you know, getting position is something that we really strive here.
When you got here, this team struggled with leads under Bruce, like blew, I think there was like almost record setting. Getting to where you are now in the third period, I think it's 16-0 with leads. Is that just all structure and systems, or did mindset stuff need to change as well?
Well, I think obviously structure helps. The mindset, to me, it's just because you're up a goal going to third, you know, what's the difference in the first? Like, you got to have the same mindset. You know, I always tell the players, if the breakout is the same breakout in the first, it should be the same thing in the third period with 3 minutes left. If the pocket's open and you can make a play in the middle of the ice, make it. Like it. I think sometimes when pressure hits, teams, they start, you know, we started falling in that category. We started rimming the pucks too much when the pressure hit us, and I think we're getting better at it. You know, you got to make a play under pressure, and it's okay. And I think that's the attitude we started right from training camp, is that just because pressure hits you, don't change your game. Don't all of a sudden, okay, I'm just going to throw it off the glass all night or the last 10 minutes because we're up 3-2. I think that's I'm not saying a sign of weakness. That's a sign of panic. And I think if you watch our team this year, I think in Leeds we really, even structurally, we hunker down. You know, we don't give up the middle a lot. Yeah, the odd time, you know, obviously there's going to be mistakes, but I just feel like the back door, we've, you know, other than a couple of times in the last 10 games, we've given that up, but that's a sign of a team that when you don't give that back door and you let Demmer or Casey play half the net, means a lot for us, the way you hold leads, I think.
How much of today's practice played into that? Footy's talking a lot about communication out there. Call for the puck, call for this, call for positioning. Because if you're doing that, if you're communicating, the other stuff should flow, right?
Yeah, I think if looking at our team, when we're playing well, our breakouts are good. And I think that's something we worked on today. That was a big part of our practice today, was our breakouts and the communication. Tend to be a little bit of a quieter team, and I think sometimes we got to get a little bit more out of it. You know, sometimes it's not comfortable guys to speak, and I think it's important that you yell things out. You know, I take a page out of LA Kings. I've been watching them lately. Obviously, a great team, and I watched them a couple of games ago, and you can actually hear the players. Even they were in Columbus, I can actually hear guys screaming, you know, heads up or wall or whatever. And I think I was telling them that's the team we want to become, where we yell our instructions out, and it's got to be loud. And I think it really helps the team when you do it.
Where does that come from? I mean, Todd's a good coach. Does that come
I think
from
it's
him?
Dowdy, because he likes to talk a lot, which is good. It's a good thing, I think, from experience.
Not to dwell on it, but can strong communication help prevent things like too many men on the ice calls like you've had?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, yeah, that's something that we've obviously. It's not pretty this way. I was pretty, and the thing is, Bess, he came to the bench. He felt bad, like he owned up to it. But you got to watch your guy right in, almost nowadays, right into the bench, and I think you have to be prepared for that. So yeah, we got to stop it, because it could really bite you in the ass. Almost bit us against Carolina too.